Fight fans, welcome, and what a great show we've got today. Previewing two fantastic main events from Saturday night, which will be coming on Saturday, February the 1st. The first fight will be on Sky Sports, 7 o'clock, which will be Adam Azim versus Serhii Lipinets. Fantastic fight. And the second one we'll be previewing, which will be on Amazon Prime, David Benavidez versus David Morrell, and I've got a great guest on with me to preview these fights. Jay from Jay's Fight Talk, how you doing, mate?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me. How are you?
I'm good, mate. Thank you. It's great to have you on to preview these fights, mate, because I know you're a great boxing analyst.
Cheers, man. Appreciate that. Yeah, I try. I'm an armchair expert.
No problem, mate. Only the best guests on this show.
Oh, thank you, man.
All right, so we'll crack on the first fight. Then we're going to look at, as we said, Adam Azim, which will be versus Serhii Lipinets, which will be for the vacant IBO World Super Lightweight title. Adam Azim is 22 years of age, 12 fights, 12 wins, 9 KOs. Serhii Lipinets, age 35, 22 fights, 18 wins, 3 losses, 1 draw, 13 KOs in them wins. For me, this is a fascinating fight. Really, really like Adam Azim. I think it could be perfect timing for him to fight a guy of this calibre. What do you think of this fight?
Look, it's a name, right? You can sell this fight as former world champion because he was a former world champion. But we have seen the Lipinets that we've seen recently, the Robbie Davis Jr. fight. I think me and you spoke about earlier on. I think we had differing opinions of that fight. I wasn't overly impressed. I think you enjoyed the fight. I think if you took the names out of it and it were just two guys that you saw boxing, then it's a great fight. But because of what we know about the two and what they've done previously, I was disappointed in the both of them. Lipinets looked very vulnerable. Robbie Davis looked like he didn't have, because of the ankle injury. I don't think he's got the feet to be able to plant to. Because I think if he'd had that, he would have got rid of Lipinets, because Lipinets got hurt a couple, 2 or 3 times in that fight. A couple of times saved by the bell, and the 1 minute rest helped him out. Azim is a young kid, so, I think the mistake they've made with him, I think they've marketed him too highly, so that there's an expectation of him now. He can never have a coast fight or a 6 or an 8 round, and it's got to be. And you get to a point now that after Lipinets, where does he go? He's at that level now. He's on fringe world level. And he's only 22. It's a risky fight, but I think it's a calculated risk. I think Lipinets 3 or 4 years ago, I don't think they'd have gone anywhere near him yet. But where he is now, I think, as you said, he's a former world champion by name. It will sell. People will watch it because they want to see what he does to this former world champion. But I think he'll have a fairly easy night. I think it'll be fairly straightforward for him. I think he's going to be too fast, too sharp. He doesn't waste a lot of punches. He's very, bit like Hamza Shiraz. He knows where he's throwing, if that makes any sense. So if he throws 3, he'll land 2 of the 3. And he can find cute angles as well. So, yeah, I think I'm not going to say it'd be an easy night for him, but I'd say it'll be more comfortable than easy.
Well, if you look at the last 2 fights for both these guys, obviously we had Adam Azim, who obliterated a fair to say aging O'Hara Davis in his last fight. I think it was in the 8th round.
Yeah.
And then you look at, like you said, Lipinets, who beat Robbie Davis Jr. He dropped Robbie Davis Jr. 3 times in that fight. He also got wobbled several times himself. Yeah. Very vulnerable to a left hook, particularly. Lipinets, I agree. 35, Adam Azim, 22, 13-year age gap. That's massive for me in boxing, really. Adam Azim, very fresh, young, super skilled, very accurate with his punching, sharp, fast. Yeah, I think this could be a perfect matchup at this time for Adam Azim, with the name of Lipinets, like you say, former world champion. For Adam Azim to look good, go on to bigger and better things. And I think Adam Azim, this could be perfect for him, where Lipinets' style suits Adam Azim down to a T. I think it's a very calculated move by boxer to make him look good, and I think he will take Lipinets out, probably round 6 to 8, something like that. But if we get the result that we're expecting for Adam Azim to be too quick, too sharp, we know it's been touted for a long, long time now. Do you think Adam Azim beats Dalton Smith in Shisha?
But I don't think he's going to get the opportunity to beat Dalton Smith in the
Mm.
not too distant future. I think they run the risk of him being sort of not frozen out, but the fact that they didn't make this fight previously when they said they were going to make the fight, and then they did all the thing with the Eubank, didn't they? They did the face off in the ring, and so he's had a couple of fights that we've wanted to see fall through. Dalton Smith has already said he wants to turn the silver green to the gold green. I saw him tagged in a post by Maurizio Suleiman the other day. So they've got a route. He's going to be ringside. When do there's a WBC title fight in the not too distant future in the next couple of months. I think it's possibly next month. They've already said that he's going to be there ringside. So I think his next fight for the strap is there, and I could see Dalton Smith giving it the what do I need to fight him for? He don't bring up to the table now. He ain't got a belt. Going back to your original question, I don't believe he beats Dalton Smith anyway. I think Dalton Smith's hits harder. I think Azim edges him on speed, so there could be a scenario where he could outpoint Dalton Smith, but I just think Dalton hits harder, possibly stronger. So yeah, I think if they'd fought now, Dalton would beat him. Maybe 3 or 4 years down the line, it could be a different fight. But I've got a funny feeling we're not going to see that fight as soon as we think.
Well, we've all got a mixture of opinions as well about why we don't see that fight, with Ben Shalom and Boxer, and they're trying to build it for further on down the line, like you say, if we do ever see it. For me, I will disagree with you on that. I think that Adam Azim would be too much skill for Dalton Smith. Too sharp, in my opinion. Too much accuracy. Okay. Yeah. I mean, Dalton Smith, good victory last time, but me and you spoke off camera. That guy Weezer, the French guy, he was just in there, man. No, he
fell to pieces.
Diabolical performance. We won't analyse on that too much because he was
not
just
to analyse. It was a waste of. It did nothing for Dalton. If anything, it was a hindrance really, because he didn't learn anything. No. He wasn't tested. He's coming off an injury. I'd have liked to have seen him go. I'd actually predicted that he would possibly struggle, because he came out and said his ankle wasn't right, didn't he? Still,
yeah.
And I thought, is that a pre-made excuse, and he might struggle if he can't plant his feet? Didn't need to, because Weezer just fell to pieces from the first shot he got hit with. So yeah, it's non-event, wasn't it?
Spot on, mate. I mean, every time Dalton Smith landed, it was looking curtains, and let's be fair, he didn't have to have too much trouble to find to land, did he either? So
no, it was a poor showing really from Weezer.
Very poor, mate. And let's hope we get to see that fight. Let's fingers crossed.
I'd love to see it. I know I was a little bit negative then. I didn't mean to be. I've got a funny feeling that it's not going to get made. And then if Dalton becomes world champion, he's the A side then, and he can start being a bit of an ass about wanting to negotiate the fight. And I think we could potentially see this fight take longer to be put together and be more painful than it's been up to this point. Because you can't talk about one without talking about the other. So they're forever going to be linked together. But we've seen this before, haven't we? We've seen fights not get made. We've seen names that have been, Calzaghe, and I'm not saying that these are Calzaghe Froch, but, that's just the first one that springs to mind. Those two guys were always meant to fight. They never fought. It happens. Yeah. You see fighters retire and go through their careers. Mayweather Pacquiao happened 4 or 5 years too late. Again, I'm not saying they're on that level. I'm just using examples that people would be quick to remember. So, yeah, I hope that we see this fight, but I've just got a funny feeling we could be waiting longer than we want to.
Well, I hope you're wrong on that and we see it quicker. But,
so do I.
Yeah. Well, what we'll do now, we'll move on to the T-Mobile Arena, Las Vegas, which will be on Amazon Prime for us UK viewers around 4 a.m. They're talking the ring walk, which will be for the WBC light heavyweight interim belt, the WBA regular light heavyweight title, which the winner will go on to be WBC mandatory for the winner of Beterbiev versus Bivol 2. Yep. We've got David Benavidez, aged 28, 29 fights, 24 KOs. in them 29 wins. And we've got David Morrell, age 27, 11 fights, 11 wins, 9 KOs. Both of them at the perfect ages. There can be no excuses. Someone's always got to go. This could potentially be a fight of the year for me. Two fantastic operators. How do you see this fight going, mate?
I've chopped and changed. So originally, I had who I thought was going to win, and then it's been a pretty long build-up, hasn't it? 4 or 5 months.
Yeah.
My Spanish is not what it used to be, so I'd love to be able to know what they're arguing about. But there's some spite, some real venom and vitriol. They just don't like each other for whatever reason. Initially, I thought Benavidez would just have to turn up, but I've changed my mind on this. I think that Morrell is all wrong for Benavidez. He's fast on his feet. He's got that Cuban amateur pedigree, but he's been able to adapt it to the pro ranks like some of them can. Benavidez likes to trap people and overwhelm them, non-stop pressure, pressure. And you either lose heavily on points or he makes you fold at some stage. Whereas Morrell is big enough and strong enough to be able to stand in front of him and trade. But I think he's got the cuter, faster feet, so I don't think he'll be able to manipulate his way out of scenarios. So I don't think he's going to be there for Benavidez to hit him with his 6 and 8 punch combinations. I'd like to see how Benavidez takes Morrell's shot. I think Morrell hits pretty hard. I'd also like to see, I think Morrell's got a really good chin, so I'd like to see it tested by Benavidez and just see how he holds a shot. I think if he can hold a shot, I've got a funny feeling that this fight is going to be one of those where first couple of rounds are pretty even. Benavidez starts to find his range and starts to win the rounds 4, 5, 6, 7. Knockdown. Morrell knocks him down. And I think we're going to get a draw. I've got a feeling that this fight is either going to be a draw or it's going to come down to the championship rounds. It's going to be that close.
I'll tell you what, mate. If you get that prediction spot on, I'm definitely having you back on the show because that'll be a cracking prediction. It's you know what, I can understand why you've been back and forth with a prediction because it is one of those fights where I've sat down for the last few days and looked at some old fights, some old highlights of both fighters, what they do best, and I come up with a few things here. I mean, you've got Benavidez, who's a 6'2" orthodox, and then you've got David Morrell, who's a 6'1" southpaw. Them contrast the styles sometimes can make for either a really exciting fight or a bad fight. It depends how they gel, but I can't see this being anything but an excellent fight.
Yeah.
You've got Benavidez, who, like you say, is a very straight-up fighter. He throws lots of shots. I mean, for his victories, a lot of his victories, they haven't been sort of like one-punch knockout power. It's been a culmination of punches. Yeah, accumulation of punches, yeah. He's a constant pressure fighter. He's always on the front foot, throwing lots of shots. And his opponents are much more experienced. He's beat world champions. So he's got lots going for him like that. And when you look at Morrell, he's like you say, he's a Cuban. He's looking very confident. He's got that nice Cuban style. He's very patient with what he does. But he has got that one-punch knockout power for me.
Yeah.
Whereas Benavidez, he's a bit more. He needs a lot of shots. But
he builds up to it.
And absolutely, and they've both got big power. But only the 11 pro fights. He's got a great amateur record, but it's only 11 pro fights. But has he seen the style of Benavidez in his amateur experience? I'm sure he has, but it is different in the pro game.
Yeah, it's a totally different sport.
It's a totally different sport, and the one thing that I think as well could be touched upon is Morrell. I'd say he's got a better defence, whereas Benavidez does leave himself open, doesn't he?
He can't, right? Because this fight could swing on a slight opening and bam, he's out cold. Because I think Morrell hits harder than Benavidez. As we said, Benavidez will wear you down over rounds. He's got a very high punch output. Looks great on stats and CompuBox. Whereas Morrell looks to take your head off.
Yeah.
Wastes very little, throws very few shots and does hit harder. But also, Benavidez does hit hard and Morrell hasn't really had his chin checked.
I agree,
He'll get it tested on Saturday night. He will get it tested. How he holds the shot could could be a big reason in how he wins or loses this fight. Because
Yeah.
if he gets hurt, Benavidez smells blood, you're finished.
Yeah.
So I haven't been as excited for a fight in a long time. I'm really excited by this fight because it's two of the best fighting each other at the right time. I haven't been forced into it. They got offered it. They took it straight away. Let's go.
Yeah.
Love to see that.
Yeah, totally agree. Absolutely agree with that. I mean, I do agree with you as well. Benavidez has had his chin checked several times in his fights, and he has passed that.
Yeah.
Morale hasn't, so that is a big key point for me, and he definitely will do in this fight.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go for something like a split decision, I think, to something like Benavidez. I think it's going to be an ultra tight fight, and when you look at the record, you think to yourself, surely there's going to be a knockout in this fight. I don't see. I think it's going to be a points decision, a very, very close one for Benavidez. So you're going the draw.
Yeah, I'm going the draw, but I'm also keeping it open. I think it could go either way. I think I think it could be 115, 113. You know, or if any points get taken off, 114, 115. I just think it's going to come down to the championship rounds or a knockdown. There'll be something significant that is the difference, and I think we will see these guys fight at least another one time further down the line, maybe even an immediate rematch if we get the draw, or if it's controversial. Because I also think that Morel could put a bit of a beating on Benavidez and lose on points. One of those, like get shit on by the judges, sort of thing.
Yeah,
there could be some kind of controversy. So
yeah.
I'm not expecting a knockout, but I'm expecting a tight affair, and I'm really, really excited.
Yeah, it's a fascinating fight, really is. I mean, after this fight, I mean, like you say, if it is close or a draw, there's great potential for a rematch. But after this fight, the winner will be the mandatory for Beterbiev versus Bivol. Obviously, the winner of that.
Yep.
Do you think either of these two will pose any threat to Beterbiev or Bivol?
No. I think Beterbiev and Bivol are sort of a tier above the masses. They are the elite of the elite. I think Beterbiev will retire, win, lose or draw.
Okay.
I think he's at the end of his. I don't think he's got anything left to prove. I don't think he's going to go up to cruiserweight and fight Jai Opetaia and all that nonsense. I think he's 40, is he? 40, 41 by the time this fight comes round. He's had some significant injuries recently. His meniscus, and he's done his leg and his shoulder, rotator cuff, etc. That last fight and the camp will have took a lot out of him. He's gone straight into another grueling camp for the same guy again. So I don't think he'll be around to answer that question. In terms of Bivol, no. I think Bivol has beat either of these two fairly handily.
Too much skill involved with Bivol, I think.
He's too good, man. He's too good. I mean, I thought he edged better. Well, when I did the watch along, I thought he beat him wide. I had it wide for Bivol. When I've watched it back, I think it's a lot closer than I thought initially, but I thought Bivol edged that fight for me.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did as well.
I think we'll see Bivol and Canelo next. That's the fight I think we'll see next. I don't think either of these two will get that fight.
And I'm pretty sure Canelo Bivol will be in Saudi on a massive Riyadh season card.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, the good thing is these fights we're talking about now, with Turki Al-Sheikh and Saudi involved, they're going to get made, aren't they?
Yeah.
Which is the great thing for the sport.
Yeah.
Well, them are the two main events we've covered. As we said earlier, 7 o'clock, Sky Sports. The programme begins for Adam Azim versus Sergey Lipinets for the vacant IBO World Super Lightweight title. Stacked card, and then over to another stacked card. 4 a.m. Amazon Prime, early hours of the 2nd of February for us UK viewers. Great night of boxing. Great to see all these shows happening. Fantastic start to the year as well. And I think that'll conclude this show. And Jay, you've been a fantastic guest. Thanks for coming on, mate.
Thanks for having me, man. Thanks for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure, man. Love chopping.
Cheers, mate. And we'll definitely get you on again because fantastic analysis.
Anytime, brother. Thanks for having me, man. I've loved it.
And I want no problem, mate. And I want to give a shout out. Make sure everyone follows your channel as well, Jay's Fight Talk, and follows you on X as well. Always great content from you. And once again, mate, thanks for your time.
Cheers, man.
Cheers, mate. And you, mate. Cheers. Thank you.
See ya.
Cheers, mate.